So I just confess that I text and drive. If I get a text, I'll look at my phone.
It's definitely texting.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Snapchat. I do Snapchat and drive sometimes.
Is that like making Snapchats or watching them?
Making them.
Texting is like my main form of communication.
Boredom, honestly.
And B, well, I guess no, it's really just A.
I've only never done it at stoplights. I've always been really good about it.
The passenger has a pretty important role driving now, where they're like, oh, red light, red light.
If someone that you like texts you, you can't just let it sit there without just knowing what they said.
Because what if something exciting's happening or something happened?
Like, every time I do it, I think about it, I'm like, why am I doing this? And then I just keep doing it.
So I'd like to, want to introduce you to a friend of ours.
My name is JC.
Hi, Alexis.
Hi, Dash.
Justin, nice to meet you.
Good to meet you. I just really quickly want to have a chat, tell you what happened to me. When I was 21 years old, driving home from my college graduation ceremony, driver on his phone was so distracted. He turned left into the intersection at a red light. Another car, an 18-wheeler, swerved to miss him and hit my family's car. And the resulting collision actually killed both of my parents. I spent 2 months in the hospital fighting for my own life, and then 2 more months in a rehab hospital, learning how to walk again, learning how to speak again, learning how to dress myself and how to feed myself. I live with a partially paralyzed body. I didn't have my daddy to walk me down the aisle when I got married.
Having sort of met JC, could you look at JC and sort of give those same reasons?
Usually I use my phone to change a song on. I try to use it as little as possible, but
I'm not gonna look at my phone ever again.
Honestly, if I have been sitting at a red light, I'll glance down to see if my mom's texting me, but the people's lives that are impacted from something that is so stupid.
I can assure you on my drive home right now, I'm not going to use my phone and drive, and I'm not gonna do it when I go to work tomorrow and the next day after that until, it becomes a habit, and that just doesn't happen at all.
I know this is hard, and I'm sorry, it's hard for me too, but this is real. You have the power to really actually make a difference and do something about it.
Thank you.
Also an issue within the Warwick Valley community as a high school principal that I see on a regular basis. I don't want to speak to scientific evidence, but there's a lot of research that the FDA regarding the e-cigarette and how unhealthy those things are for students. Those are certain things that people are smoking. We don't know what's going into those synthetic cigarettes, and we use them on a regular basis. I can almost guarantee you, at some point, we may have our own assembly, because it's a conscious conversation that comes up all the time with parents in the building about how we address the issue of e-cigarettes. I always say to parents, and I'll say it to the police department when we have this conversation, it just doesn't help, that we have a shop, in town. We want to get home safe. And I can tell you, I can't speak for all parents, but I can guarantee you that most parents would rather come get you and make sure you got them safe than rather you drive with someone who's impaired or under the influence, okay? So even though you keep secrets and we have different things we don't share with our parents, I can guarantee you, if you're in a situation, 90% of the parents in this room would rather come get you. Okay? Reverse conversation for parents, pretty much self-explanatory. You know, me and Mr. Sweeney were having this conversation earlier today about the importance of providing at least 30 to 50 hours to provide driving practices for over 6 months. We talked about the junior license, making sure your team is off the road by 9 or 10 p.m. For at least the first 6 months of licensed driving. You know, one of the things as a parent, and I have young children, I remember one of my friends telling me this, and this is definitely an issue when you live in Warwick, and it would scare me as a parent. You buy a house and you buy it in development, but you don't think about, the school, you think about where you're going to go, but then you don't think about when your kid becomes 16 or 17, when they need to get a part-time job, then they got to drive maybe 40, 30 minutes at nighttime back and forth to where, you know, they're going to get a job at when they get at this age. So it's one of those things where, as a parent, nighttime driving for an adolescent is very scary. As a parent, you're waiting for, you know, your son to get off work, are they going to get home safe? That's very important. If you're not comfortable with driving, we live in deer country in Orange County, there's deers everywhere. You know, there's other people who can't drive accordingly or appropriately at times. Nighttime driving, for me as a parent, is one of the biggest fears. Wear a seatbelt. I'll let you look at some of those things. I think they're self-explanatory. I do believe, and I mean this sincerely, at Warwick High School, I think we do have a majority of a lot of good role models of students that are responsible and have professional conversations or have conversations with their peers that know to never drink and drive. I think we have a good group of students who have that conversation and also have parents reinforce the message to teens and set up some kind of agreement. So it's also very important as parents, you know, you go, you hang out, I can't tell you how to parent, but it's also very difficult. I can tell you for me, I sit in a room with a parent and a student, and there's a conversation about bad behavior, and there's nothing worse than a parent giving one conversation in front of their student and lecturing you about A, B, or C, but yet the student knows you do A, B, or C in front of them, or you get in the car and do A, B, or C. So modeling that behavior is just very important, because then, you know, we're dealing with savvy seniors, savvy kids. You model a certain message, they'll buy into it, because trust me, kids will remind you of what message you put out there to them. Our next presenter, which I think is a very important topic, is regarding the Orange County social hosting law. And without Rudy allowed the presentation of information, I'm going to say to him, we're lucky to have the district attorney for Orange County to speak to us tonight, Mr. Anthony Curdy.
Law. The entire law is 2 sentences, and it can be broken down as shown on the slide. That if you are 18 or older, you cannot knowingly allow the consumption of alcohol by a minor on premises that you either own, rent, or control. That's the first sentence. The second sentence is that if you become aware that this is happening, you must take reasonable corrective action to stop it. Now, those are not my words, those are the words of the statute. And when I say statute, that's another word for the law. I'll go into what those things mean, but basically the entire law is on that slide right in front of you right now. You can't let someone under the drinking age drink on your property, and if you see it happening, you have to do something about it.
See that light coming in from the left? Can we get that off?
Now, why do we need the Orange County social host law? Well, it's already illegal for someone to give alcohol or sell alcohol to a minor.
The one that's coming in on the left, is that on the slide?
So
It's on the
it's illegal for
slide.
someone else to give you that alcohol. And of course, it's also
Coming in from
illegal
that slide.
if you are under 21 to have that alcohol, possess it. So why do we need the social host law? The social host law fills the gap where someone is allowing the drinking to happen, but they didn't necessarily give the alcohol to that person. It's happening in their home, maybe their kids' friends brought the alcohol over, or they helped themselves to the alcohol in the home, so it wasn't given to them by the parent, but the drinking is happening, and that's why we need the Orange County social host law. Now, as any other law, there's always exceptions to the rule, right? So the first exception is that this does not apply to religious ceremonies. So if alcohol is being consumed as part of a Catholic Mass or some other religious ceremony, obviously we're not going to come in and arrest, Father Joe for giving you communion alcohol. It's not going to happen. And the second exception is that if a parent gives you permission to consume alcohol and they're present while it's happening, that is not illegal. So if mom or dad allow you to have a half a glass of red wine with dinner while they're there with you, no one's getting arrested for that. All right, so those are the exceptions. Now, as I said, the statute is only 2 sentences, but it's important to understand what the words actually mean. So the statute refers to alcoholic beverage, and basically that includes anything that you can think of that consists of alcohol. It's liquor, it's wine, beer, spirits, and any other way that alcohol can be consumed by a person, that is included in alcohol under the law. Now, the age requirement for the statute is important because it is only applicable to someone that is 18 years of age or older. So if you are 18 or older and you're allowing this alcohol to be consumed, you're on the hook. Now, knowingly means that you're aware, right? You know something is happening, and that's the obvious one. If you see that your son or daughter is consuming alcohol in your home, you actually know what's happening, you're on the hook. But it doesn't mean that you're allowed to close your eyes and close your ears and pretend like you didn't know what's happening or you didn't want to know what's happening. Because the law says in addition to knowing that the alcohol is being consumed, it is also enough that you have reason to be aware. So if mom and dad are upstairs and little Johnny and his friends are downstairs drinking alcohol, mom and dad can't say, oh, I didn't know, I wasn't there. They have reason to know that the alcohol is being consumed. Obviously, for the purposes of this law, a minor means anyone that's under the age of 21. And premises, now this is important because it's what you would think of. It's a home, it's an apartment, a condo, co-op. But it's also any public or private area surrounding that property. So if there's a party at a public park, you rent out some space at a public park and have a party there. Although mom or dad don't own that public park, they're in control of those premises while the party is happening. So if underage alcohol is being consumed at that party, it's the same as if it was happening in mom or dad's house. Now the statute says, the first part, remember, was that you know or you should know that the alcohol is being consumed. But the second part says that if you become aware, you weren't originally aware that this was happening, but then you become aware, you must take reasonable corrective action to stop it. Now the law gives us some examples. Some of the examples that are actually in the law, things like taking away the alcohol and demanding that that person stop drinking. If that doesn't work, you might have to call that person's parent or guardian, or of course if that doesn't work, call and report it to the police. But these are just examples. This is not what must be done. This is not all that can be done. These are just examples. And what it's going to really come down to is whether or not what you did as a parent or someone over the age of 18, whether that was reasonable or not. Reasonable probably doesn't mean you say, cut it out and then don't do anything more. But it probably is reasonable if you take the alcohol away and then somehow that person finds more alcohol. You did what you reasonably could to stop the consumption. So let's talk about the penalties. The first time someone is convicted of a violation of the social host law, it is a violation. And it's important to understand that in the law there are basically 3 classes of offenses. There are violations, which are the lowest level, misdemeanors, which are criminal offenses, which are in the middle, and then felonies are the most severe criminal sanction. So the first conviction is a non-criminal conviction. It's a violation conviction. But the penalties are pretty stiff. It's a required $500 fine, and that's written right into the law. So the judge has no discretion, the attorney has no discretion, even I, as the prosecutor, have no discretion to give anything less than a $500 fine. The person must also complete an alcohol awareness program and or up to 30 hours of community service. Yes, sir. Per consumer or per party, they are, and then they get behind the wheel of the vehicle and drive. It leads to property damage, fights, instances of poor judgment, and to addiction, right? Because I know Dr. Washington touched on it a little bit, but the truth is that the human brain doesn't stop developing until way into the 20s or even 30s. So someone that's 16 or 17 that's drinking alcohol, in addition to everything else that's going to happen to them, they are potentially doing irreversible damage to their brain. So at this point, I'm sure that there are some questions. If there are any questions, I'm glad to open up the floor. We can talk about different situations and what you would expect from different situations. Don't all raise your hands at once. All right, well, if there are no questions then, I thank you for inviting me to speak with you. I wish you the best of luck.
Good evening. Some of you may recognize me. I retired from here 3 years ago. And while I was here in high school, I was the SAD advisor. And so some of the programs that you still have in effect, I continued from Connected Program Advisor as a SAD advisor. However, my main focus tonight is because I'm a member of Warwick Voluntary Ambulance Corps. I have been a member since the early 80s, and so Dr. Washington put up the dangers out there for reasons that we can get into accidents. Over the years, I have seen the tragedy of every single one of those topics. And I'm talking about high school students. I'm not talking about even the adults or whoever in the community. I have seen the fatalities and the trauma of permanent disability. Okay? Used to host the mock crashes to help try and make it a little bit more effective on what's happening. The London programs, I'm glad to see them continuing, similar to if we had a program called Not One More. If only we could do that and never have anybody, never have me have to go out. I raised my 3 kids in the community, they graduated from here. And one of the main things I want to speak to the parents, I'm going to have a younger member speak to the students. But as the parents, your kids do listen to you, okay? Especially if you model, as Dr. Washington said, in that you make it safe, that if they're learning to make decisions, they get in a bad situation and they want a way out, be that person for them. Make an arrangement, you can call me anytime, day or night, I will come get you, no questions asked. And live up to that. Because if you don't, when you ask questions, they won't call you the next time, and the next time may not be so successful of them being safe. Make a pact with your parents. Look, you're learning to make decisions. Make a pact that says, if I get someplace and I'm not safe, I'm going to call you and know that you're going to be okay with me because I'm safe. Okay? I really want to emphasize that, and Dr. Washington had said that earlier. So please do that. I don't want to have to go out tonight or any other night in the future, because you're all my community, you're all my neighbors and friends, you're the high school students that I was here in high school for 22 years. So I'm familiar with you guys. I want you to be safe. Same thing with on the ambulance corps. Please think, okay? Be very safe. And I'm going to turn it over to Ian Clark, member of our Warwick Ambulance Corps, brand new paramedic, who's going to talk to you a little bit about what it's like from a young person's perspective to go out on an ambulance when we get a call.
Hey guys. Yeah, so actually I wish I had this when I was your guys' age, which wasn't too long ago. I kind of remember it, but yeah, so we've been talking about community a lot tonight, and with our core here, we try to give like 100% to our community. It's really important, and that's probably one of the main reasons why I joined the Corps. So I wanted to give something back to our community. But we can't just keep giving, we also have to get something a little bit in return. One of them is definitely guys paying attention to all this and the seriousness to it, because it's really important. Because I'm glad I got to meet all of you guys tonight like this, and we're all happy, we're all going back to school, we're happy about that, right? Yeah. But in all seriousness, this is the way I want to meet you guys. I don't want to meet you guys the other way, on the other end of this, which has happened. And not only would it scar you guys, your family and friends and stuff like that, it also leave something on me too, which I can't go home at night, sleep right sometimes. And so like I said, a community. So we got to be here for each other, and this is important thing. So thank you for listening to both of us. Our next speakers for tonight is coming from Sealy Delane Insurance Company, Ms. Tammy Ortessa and Michelle Dixon.
I'm sitting there like this, and all of a sudden I see like, oh, it's weird.
Hey everybody. Michelle and I are going to present together. I'll just give you a little overview of a little bit of our background. I'm Tammy Ortessa, as Dr. Washington said. This is Michelle Dixon. We've been with Sealy Durland Insurance Agency right here in Warwick for, well, I've been there for 24 years, and Michelle's been there 18 years. We're also sisters, so we've worked together a long time. And the interesting part is that you see a lot of stuff. Good, bad, a lot of bad. But we're here because we're going to give you a different perspective. I'm going to give you a little bit of statistics that Dr. Washington talked about, and then Michelle's kind of going to go into what you as parents and young teenagers can do to make insurance more affordable for your parents, or yourselves, for that matter. And the one thing I want to touch upon with the ADA that was up here, that social law too, if things happen where you're allowing these drinking parties or whatever is occurring, there's liability issues for you as parents as well. We actually had a case in our office, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, of a party that occurred, a bonfire party, that the parents were okay with. There wasn't supposed to be alcohol, but of course there was. The parents were in the house, probably 2 o'clock in the morning, sleeping, and the kids were having a bonfire, and alcohol involved, and they decided they were gonna either ride a quad or something, and everyone was gonna jump on the front around the bonfire, and one of the kids fell into the bonfire and was burned, had 3rd-degree burn. So, I mean, luckily the kid survived, but unfortunately the parents who really had, no idea, or pretended they had no idea that their kids were drinking, got brought into a lawsuit. So you don't want to put your parents in that position where they lose sleep at nighttime and have to worry about losing their house or having lawsuits and things like that. So you're better off just avoiding that whole process. So I think you probably saw this in the back. There was on the table a flyer. Some of you may have gotten it. If you didn't, you could probably get it on your way out. But it does give some statistics. I won't go over all of them. I'll give you a couple of them that I think are important. Each year, almost 2,100 teens aged 16 to 19 die due to fatal injuries caused by car crashes, with 243,250 teen drivers seriously injured. And I'll say that Michelle and I have been doing this since the inception, which I think is a great program. This year is even more important to me because my son's in the audience and he's probably like sinking in the seat right now. So wherever he is, you'll see him. So he's got, he's driving. So for me, it's important too that he gets the message as well. So he's gonna hate me after this. But. So another statistic: for each mile driven, teens are 4 times more likely than other drivers to crash. At 16 years old, the risk of crash is high. This is so staggering. The first year of driving at 16 years old. This is when they have the most experience. When Michelle and I were in school, we had friends that were killed in car accidents. We both graduated from Warwick as well. But that was before social media or texting or any of this stuff was even in the picture. So there were distractions back then, and now it's multiplied times 10 because of all these things, this technology that you guys that we all face every day. And it's not just the kids, by the way. I see a lot of parents doing it too. So we need to be, like they said, the role model. Stop texting in front of your kids, teach them the right way to do things. But the staggering result is the first year of driving, they're 20 times more likely to have a crash than any other driver because of inexperience. 23% of drivers aged 15 to 20 who died in car crashes had a VA state and blood alcohol content of 0.08 or higher, which is obviously not the legal limit. 74% of teens killed in an auto crash related to DWI were not wearing a seatbelt. And I know that's Dr. Washington was staggered by that, but I'm wondering if it has to do with the fact that they were, a lot of them drinking, so you're obviously, your mindset kind of goes out the window when you start drinking. And over 50% of teen deaths from car crashes occurred between 3 p.m. and midnight, and 54% of car crashes for these teens occur on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I think it's important to stay involved with kids and know what's going on. On the next page is the flyer. Just to wire teams more, it's kind of some of the things that we already went over, but number one is an experience. It's growing pains. They have to learn how to react in situations, and then when you combine it with everything else that they're dealing with, it magnifies it. So it's a learning curve. Obviously, they're more likely to speed, tailgate, use cell phones that we talked about. And having a male passenger in the car has been shown to increase the likelihood of high-risk behavior among teen male drivers. Of male drivers killed between 15 and 20 years of age, 38% were speeding, 28% had been drinking and driving. And teens have the lowest seatbelt use among all drivers. Another statistic, texting makes you 23% more likely to crash. And thank God I didn't have to speak after that first video, because I would have been in tears up here. I was actually trying to wipe the tears if I would have been sitting over there, because I can't imagine being the cause of a crash and having to live with that for the rest of your life, right? Who could live with that, knowing that you killed a family or someone's parents or someone's sibling? I couldn't handle that. And nearly 20, in the same as driving as 4 beers. So 23% more likely to crash texting, and it's the same as having 4 beers before you get in the car. And 11 teen deaths happen every day due to texting. So basically, how does this all affect your insurance? I'm going to kind of let Michelle go over that with you.
Good evening, everyone. I am your friendly insurance agent that you would come to me to get car insurance for, and I want to make sure that you are insured correctly and explain to you about the correct limits to have for car insurance. Now's a good time for parents to actually reevaluate your car insurance. You want to make sure that your limits on your policy are adequate, especially with teen driver. In New York State, the minimum requirements for car insurance is $25,000 per person, $50,000 per occurrence, and $10,000 for property damage. A lot of kids want the minimum limits. We will not sell those limits in our office because $10,000 property damage, if the kids have that limit and they hit someone, an SUV, a vehicle, is like a $30,000 vehicle. So if you're at fault and you're in an accident, $10,000 is not enough coverage. So we don't want minimum limits, so it's very important for parents, especially now, to reevaluate your own insurance limits and make sure your kids have adequate limits. Otherwise, they're coming after you for a lawsuit if you hit someone. How do you keep insurance costs manageable? For the parents out there, teach your teens good driving skills. Be their role model. They learn the driving behaviors from you. Monitor your teens driving, stay involved. They have GPS systems now that you can plug into the car and track your actual driving habits. I just actually put one in my car because it's actually giving you an insurance discount now. Some of the companies offer that. And I was surprised to see some of my own driving habits. I did have a passing score, but I was like, geez, I'm pretty hard on the braking. I didn't realize I was so hard on the braking, so it's a pretty unique situation that insurance companies offer now to track your driving habits. Very important, research cars for your teens to drive. Newer cars that have to require a loan require comprehensive and collision coverage, which will make insurance rates go up dramatically. I just rated someone yesterday that wanted to come in, a young driver, 17 years old, was looking at a 2010 Ford Escape. On his own insurance, $12,000 for the year for full coverage. In experience, you needs full coverage, it's very expensive. Car with liability is probably going to run about $3,000 a year. When I got my car insurance 20 years ago, it was $600, and I thought that was a lot. So it's 5 times that now. Have your teens be responsible for paying all the part of the insurance. This way they can see the direct impact of good or bad driving behavior. Have a written parent-teen driving contract enforced, which should include driving restrictions, driving rules, driving conditions, consequences. Teens, you make sure you drive up for a driver's education class. This will provide a 15% discount. Also sign up for a defensive driving class once you're licensed. That actually gives you another 10% discount. And if you actually continue to have good grades and have a B average or better, you get another discount. So there's a plus for being a good student in school. These classes for defensive driving can now be taken online. Students, please be aware that driving is a privilege, and parents can withdraw your driver's license at any time by going to the Department of Motor Vehicle and withdrawing your license. It's a privilege and not a right, so please be safe out there. Thank you.
Our last speakers we have the pleasure to work with and support with our community is with the Warwick Valley Police Department. Please welcome Lieutenant Ray and Officer Bettini.
Thank you, Dr. Washington. I'll be brief. I would say I'd be short, but next to Dr. Washington, that's pretty obvious. But we're here really, and we want to thank the school for inviting us and for putting this forum on every year. Personally, this is my third year being here and having the privilege to speak to the newest drivers in Warwick. And we want to welcome you as the newest drivers in Warwick, and I sincerely mean that. This is where we want to meet you, right here, in a forum with your parents, not on the side of the road on a traffic stop, not in a car accident, not in a hospital afterwards, or certainly somewhere worse. And I mean that's what parents do. All too often, that's where we end up meeting people, and it's not good, okay? We don't want to make that call to you to tell you that your son or daughter was involved in a car accident, and they're going to be okay. We don't want to make that call to you and tell you that your son or daughter was involved in a car accident and they're on the way to the hospital. And we certainly don't want to make that call to you that they're not coming home. Okay? So there's a big responsibility here to all the new drivers, but it's equally a big responsibility to all the passengers. So we're asking you to be a good passenger. Be the responsible passenger. If you see the driver doing something that you're uncomfortable with, taking out their phone, going too fast, not wearing their seatbelt. Just because we're close to home doesn't mean accidents don't happen close to home. Statistically, they do. Put your seatbelts on. Be that passenger. Be that good friend to the driver and stop bad behavior. That's what we want to see. That's the message we want to send. I can tell you firsthand, I've had to make the calls I just described in the beginning, but I've also received the calls as a parent, and it's not good. It's not good to get that phone call in the middle of the night. It's not good to be the one that has to go to the hospital to sign your son or daughter out. And it's certainly not good to face the other parents of the kids that were in the car in the accident that your son or daughter caused. So we want you to enjoy the roads. Warwick has some of the most beautiful roads you'll ever see nationwide. I mean, it's beautiful here. We want you to enjoy the roads. We want you to enjoy them responsibly. We know because of the size of our community, you can't get to a lot of places on a bicycle or walk. You need your cars. Do it responsibly. That's the biggest message we can send to you from the police department. Again, we thank the school district for allowing us to talk to you in this forum. It's great. Officer Lutine, he's a good role model for you to see here tonight. He's also a Warwick High School graduate. So he's one of our finest. He's here to support this program. Officer Kearns, who's going to be your new school resource officer, going to be here tonight. He's up in training to start the first day of school. You'll see him in the school this year. We're excited, along with the school district, to introduce him as your school resource officer. And please, go see him if you have any issues. We're here to help. It's all part of the same community. Thank you.
All right. I have just 2 minutes and a few closing remarks. So let me just start with housekeeping first. I just want to remind all seniors before you leave out of here, okay? You want to make sure, don't want to get up yet, just make sure you go out the front door to the main lobby and make sure you get your application and your card, okay? That's very important. And they're going to make sure you cross your name off, make sure you signed in, that you signed out that you got the application, and also the card. Just two quick things that I want to say. First, I really want to thank Mrs. Colonna, who's been very actively involved in the Warwick Coalition to put this event together. So I really want to give her a round of applause and thank her. And lastly, for me, I've been an administrator for close to going on probably 17 years, and I think just important, y'all just listen. What's important, people ask me after a prom, the senior prom, the homecoming dance, the black light dances. We have a lot of events. We have a lot of things that we do in the high school. And I always get a phone call from a teacher, or I have a conversation with a teacher at 11 o'clock, and someone says to me, "Oh my gosh, it was a great night. No one got in trouble. Everything was fine. It was a great evening." But for me, as the high school principal, my night's not great until the next day. And I've done that for 15 years. After every dance, after every party, after every event, and I'm pretty sure it's 95%, it's probably not me, it's probably every administrator, it's probably every guidance counselor, it's probably every teacher. That is one of our biggest fears, biggest conversations, because we live that and think that after every event that we have, after every prom, every homecoming, all our students want to be safe. And I know I may ask you guys questions. I may say to you, we're changing the senior prom, whether or not it's going to be Friday night or Thursday night. The biggest thing I tell students all the time, students have shore houses, students go to different parties. Most importantly, whatever activity, whatever you guys decide to do, okay? Most importantly, we want you guys to be safe, all right? There's nothing more concerning and more important than making sure our students are safe at the high school. I want to make sure we have a successful school year, academically, professionally, in the building. But most importantly, we want our students to be safe outside of school as well. All right? Let's get it up for this part. Thank you very much.